There he is. Look at the handsome guy. You're on mute there, bud.
Man, ooh, I'm tired. It's been a long 2 weeks, dude. I feel like everything's been coming all at once. I'm gonna
So that
blame
So
time
it.
of year.
we
I
we
know.
are we're going to tape tonight because we have a lot of people that couldn't join us and whatnot, but we'll be able to walk through the presentation. And Sarah did a good job in cleaning up the presentation for us so that we
Okay.
can kind of walk through the elements. And let me pull up the screen and we'll go from there.
Cool. Need a haircut. That's what I need. Got one on Saturday coming. So
Yeah, I don't want to say nothing, but it is what it is.
it's terrible, dude. I can give you some if you want it, Chairman.
Nope. Oh.
I have one
I,
tomorrow.
my son gives me the business on that all the time already.
Hey, dude, Jerry, it's so funny. So my brother is in my brother and then my dad's dad were like completely bald and like just lost their hair at like an early age, and me and my dad just have like a full head of hair. So like every year for Christmas, I get my brother some Rogaine. It's perfect.
I started putting black cumin oil on my hair.
There you go.
So some guy told me, that Ian guy said, "Oh, black cumin oil, it changes your life. Rub it on your hair."
Dude, yeah, it's like I saw an Instagram meme the other day. If there was a flight to Turkey and everybody had the like dots in their head, like 'cause they were all
Right.
going to Turkey to get the hair implants.
Yeah. Adam did those, man. I can't bring myself after looking at that.
Dude, I would just go bald, honestly. Like I was bald when I wrestled.
Just
Like,
let it rip, man.
yeah, dude, I would just bick it. I'd just be like the Arm and Hammer guy.
All right. So let's go back here. So for those of you that are joining us for the first time, and for those of you that we're taping this for, I want to introduce you guys to Jared. Jared is our partner from TRX. He is the chief revenue officer there and also a stockholder, and has brought us just a wonderful suite of products that we can sell into. And we are opening up some really cool verticals with Jared with this product every day. One of you is sending us over some lead to offer financing products, and I'm sending them off to Jared for approval. The good thing is that the depth and range of what we're offering today in the finance world is pretty tremendous, and it gives us a competitive advantage when offering merchant services to our clients. While they're not always easy sales, they sometimes require some sophistication. It really depends upon the type of clients that you're going after. So think everything from dental offices to car dealerships who have service requirements to what did we talk about today? Chiropractic offices,
Med
med
spas.
spas, all different types of services we're doing in addition to what we call consumer financing, which we'll talk about in detail. We're also doing some commercial financing for businesses and individuals. And so there's an opportunity for us to make money on all of those fronts. It makes us a more sophisticated sales organization because we can get out and offer people some value in places where they don't have it. And because the groups and banks that we're working with, and I don't mean to use this flippantly, but it's kind of like a lendingtree.com where we're getting more expansive range of banks and servicers at cheaper prices, which allow us to be a little bit more flexible as we're opening up some verticals in the HVAC community right now. We're able to go down to lower credit scores than most of the other servicers, cheaper rates for the consumers, but also the flexibility that comes with this program, as Jared will talk about, and how we're able to have streamlined underwriting makes us a very valuable asset to have in our tool belt, and lots of good opportunities to make money for everybody, which is of course why we do what we do. So Jared, welcome to the team. I know this is the first time you've ever been introduced to our CrossfireIQ team. I know there's not a whole lot of people on the call tonight, but we do have about 560 agents that regularly watch this little podcast that we do on sales. So welcome.
Yeah, happy. Thanks for having me. Yeah, and I know I'm following along. I don't comment as much in the group text that we're all in, but I certainly read through them and try to opine when I can. But I'm excited about Jeremy, your partnership, and obviously Wes as well, and others that I've worked with. I think what we're the mission that I'm set out on when I joined the TRX business a little over a year ago was to when I looked at the market after spending years and years at Global Payments and specifically the integrated division working with ISV companies, and then spent some time running an identity and fraud business for not just merchants but also banks. I started to be able to take a step back from the market and see where there was real opportunities, especially as payment processing specifically becomes super competitive, margin compression. Where are there opportunities that businesses, really lack in terms of resources and skill sets and functionality and transparency and, feature functionality. And I started to look across, multiple parts of, a fintech offering or embedded banking is a little bit of an over bastardized term in the industry. But for me, it's, how can you help businesses with money coming in, obviously, streamline those processes, build better systems, better solutions, digital outreach to customers, better cost, economies of scale, help the businesses with money going out, which I know we've talked about to a certain degree. We won't cover today, but we'll cover, I'm sure, in a future podcast on some of our accounts payable solutions and what we're doing there around automation of PDFs and invoices and sending money out and disbursement. But when you take those two things and you start to then look across, okay, now you can see the money coming in, money going out of a business. Then it's how do they get access to capital? How do they expand their operations? How do they, get their customers to buy more and spend more at their place of business at a good price? That's, to your point, Jeremy, that's, not like I guess you could use the lending tree analogy, but, people want access to cash. Like when you think of, what Affirm and Klarna and some of those solutions did in the market, really what they proved was less is kind of like the Netflix to Blockbuster kind of ideology was less about, would they be willing to loan and would they go through the process, but it was about the disruption in the process, getting people access to money quickly, helping them make buying decisions more easily, and then being able to fund their purchases and be able to float that without, looking at a sticker shock of a $5,000, 50,000 mile service into your car. We get your transmission flushed, your brakes changed, your tires rotated, oils changed, all those things. Or, you're trying to go to a dental care to get, new teeth, or you're trying to, whiten your smile, like a lot of things that you want to do there, or, just daily things like HVAC, your air conditioning unit goes out. I mean, there's things happening in the HVAC market where, customers can't just replace the coil units in their HVAC. They have to actually replace the full entire HVAC unit. And, that's $8,000-$10,000 sticker shock. And when you look at legacy providers in these markets like Green Sky, and you look at competitors like Care Credit in the medical space, you look at the Klarnas, you look at the others of the world, they simply are just banks. They're not trying to actually help the merchants provide the service and the tools that they want. They're looking more about, it's my brand, it's Klarna or Care Credit. It's my brand. This is what we're doing, and this is our program. Instead of, hey, what do the merchants need? What type of offers do they want? What type of promotions do they want? What type of solutions do they want to give their end customer, right? They're the ones that talk to their customers. They're the ones providing that service. They should have the ability to offer what type of, lending option that they want to give to them, and not just be something that's cookie cutter out of the box, that's expensive for them and or expensive for their customers. And, we like to, be a custom tailored approach to that and let them build the program that they want, but still solve the market problem, get customers access to capital quickly from a retail financing perspective. And then on the commercial side, businesses are trying to expand operations, capitals, finally now with the, some of the administration changes, people are not afraid to spend money anymore, and, money's coming back into the market, but getting that money is going to be still the same old bank challenges that you're used to experiencing. And I think we're in a unique position that we can offer and consult to these businesses ways that they can get access to capital, help their commercial, right? Help them expand certain operations or improve their cash flow, or I was just helping a client today in the, kind of the med spa space that sells some products where they wanted to offer packages to businesses that go out and resell their products. And, they're like, hey, I want to get started and build out this business, but right now I'm a little bit strapped for cash and I don't have 10 grand, right? So how do I go get 10 grand? Well, let's bring some commercial lending into it. Or when you think in heavy equipment dealerships today, they're, people and farmers coming up in the new year, they got equipment that they got to fix. They obviously got to cultivate their crop, and then they don't get paid till the end of the year when their crop produces and they're able to sell it. So they need access to capital because they got to, buy a piece of new equipment. They got to buy a front end loader. They got to buy different products. So how do we help them get these loans and these floor plans? And so I think for us and for me, it's, being able to be creative with these financial services, saying, okay, there's money right now. Do we provide that money to a retail business or like to the business itself? Do we provide it to the consumer? And how do we do that? And if we can solve it with, digital currency and technology by just a click of a button, fill it out, get approved, get the money in your account the next day, and go about your business, right? I mean, that's really what we're aiming for and what we're striving for. So when you look across these products and, slide 2, slide 3, slide 4, and so on, you're going to notice this trend that, we're really helping them get access to, money quickly, and then, really at their pace and how they want to do it. And, with hopefully the economies of scale, because we're not looking at it as, well, I'm going to just nickel and dime them on financing, right? Like we have an expansive financial services offering. So like if I give up money on the payment processing or give up money or more money on the payable side and get the financing, like we're looking to try to give them something that's good value at the right price instead of just eye gouging, customers every single day. So, I think that's what I'm really excited about these products.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's really kind of amazing that, for years we've been 25 years we've been going out and selling merchant services for a really long time, and never really thought about financing. I never really thought about that other element. And so, from a basic perspective, it just makes sense that the banking world and the larger corporations have offered these types of services for a long time. We liken this to the going after Care Credit and some of those, but I mean we've now attacked Wells Fargo, Green Sky, like all different types of competitors out there that seemed untouchable at one point, and now all of a sudden this tool allows it to be manageable, that we can compete at a level that makes sense, right? So
yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to tell a little bit of a storyline about where we're going. Just in the HVAC vertical, people have heard about where we're going in the HVAC. We can talk a little bit about some of the issues that we've dealt with, because this is a sales call, right? So it's a little bit more of a how do we deal with objections? What kind of objections do we face? What kind of issues do we have to understand about the client as we're going and selling these types of things? What are the top 5 questions we should ask? Those types of things. So as we kind of walk through this slide deck here. This is this financing product suite that we have, which talks about everything from what you just said, operations to expanding operations, branded card solutions. Kind of walk through these things so that we understand what we're looking at here.
Yeah, and you brought something up before I go into this too, Jeremy, that I think similar to me, like I had my aha moment sitting there working with back when I was selling the identity and fraud and part of the Equifax business. I mean, I looked at as I was helping merchant service providers and banks, and I was like, man, this has got to be a lot easier to solve. Like they're so close in terms of what they do. Because if you think about it, a merchant account is an unsubsidized loan. At the end of the day, right, we're putting money in a merchant's bank account for future services that they've delivered or products or goods that they've sold. But that cardholder has 120 days chargeback responsibilities or obligations that they can just charge it back. So in essence, we were already there from a merchant services provider. And so, when you start to tie in these other financing products, it's like, duh, like it's the same thing. We're just, providing it in a unique, different way and using that capital and those assets that we have and putting that money to work to help businesses. And yeah, to your point, Jeremy. So like when I think about it, when I'm first talking to a business, right, depending on the vertical, I'm a big fan of vertical fluency helps helps you more than just trying to just sling out, overused terms and analogies like acquisitions and, loans and cash flow and things like that. Like if you know and understand like the HVAC market, and you can understand how people and how service advisors and how they're selling it and how they're pushing it. I mean, to your point, Jeremy, when we were working in the HVAC market, when you look at Green Sky and them, I mean, their process is so adjunct that they're, when we walked in, we started asking them, we were like, hey, how do you, when you walk into a someone's house, how do you pre-approve them for a line of credit? Like, you're going in to fix their unit, have they already been pre-approved before that service advisor's gotten to the door, so that service advisor knows, hey, I can, fix more things than just, changing an air conditioning coil? Or in the automotive space, like you got someone walking in the door and you think of solution providers out there now, they wait till after the services have been rendered and they get the invoice and they go, oh, okay, yeah, I've already, checked off, getting new tires. I've already checked off doing that oil change or that transmission flush. So, I try to position these things up front and help customers understand what is your buyer's journey when I'm thinking of just the retail financing piece, like helping their customers get access to it. Because, we've been able to provide these for like pre-approved loans, like, hey, you've gotten pre-approved for 10 grand, you've gotten pre-approved for 20 grand versus like, the Klarnas, the Affirms, the Green Skies of the world. They're like, hey, you got to change this unit or you got to buy this product. It's 10 grand. Now get approved. Right. So I start with that. I just start initially up front, walking through their buyer journey. And you want to start to engage and build the financing opportunities throughout that whole cycle that they're going through. And then from there, I start to talk to them a little bit about, what are you using? What's your average ticket? How much your customers willing to spend? How many, I was helping someone the other day in retail space. I said, what's your fallout rate of a customer when you do like a lookbook for them? Because they're, putting together this package of, hey, we're going to sell you these suits and we're going to get you this type of, buy these 2 suits, this. And then at the end they go, okay, yeah, well, it was $1,200. I'm just going to stick with the $200 purchase. And I go like, can you justify how many of those are falling out? And is it because of sticker shock? Right. And you find that quite often in the retail financing component of it. So, hey, why don't you just go ahead and get them access to $1,200? Now they can take that $1,200 and they can spend it over 12 months or expand it over 6 months or expand it over 18 months. Or this may sound as bad, but I'm sure my wife does it to me. I just don't look at it closely. But, what if my wife wanted to go out and, get her cosmetic, care done, and she was like, I was going to do something that was $1,500, and she's like, well, you know what, Jared probably won't notice if it only charges me $100 a month versus a $1,500 charge that hits our credit card. And I'm like, honey, what the hell did you just spend $1,500 on? So like you can think about it from that aspect of, people being able to float that and how you see people using that capital. But again, it just goes back to, my point when I first tee this up, I start to just dig into that vertical fluency and how are they using it so that I can walk through it. And then when you get to the end of it, like the objections you're handling are, most of the time, if you know that vertical, the competitors in there. And we've put together, and, I think slide 6, some of the competitors that we already know in these prospective markets and what are their problems and things that you're going to run up against. So you want to get the customer excited about how you're thinking about this differently than just saying, well, here's access to capital, and make that business actually do the engagement of getting the people the money. You want to say, no, we're going to help automate it and streamline it through your whole buying journey. And then you go, well, you're probably using Sunbit or you're probably using Care Credit, where Care Credit's going to be, low teens, high teens of a merchant discount rate. The APR from the consumer is going to be, 20% plus. Their acceptance rate is going to be in the 60 to 70% acceptance rate. You're going to have a credit score above 700. So like you're going to know those things because of that vertical, and then you're going to be able to sell against it like really, really easily. And then like Sunbit, as an example, they take a week to pay the merchant, right? So I've gotten my loan for my car to help fix my, damage to my car. And then the dealership's already serviced that with a credit card. They get paid next day. right? With the Sunbit financing, it takes, weeks to get funding time. Sometimes it says 2 to 3 days, but on average, it's actually a little bit higher than that. I try to be a little bit optimistic in this slide. But we're paying them immediately the next day. And then the other thing about Sunbit, they charge a down payment. So now that merchant or that cardholder seeing this of $5,000, they're like, well, you got to pay a down payment of $1,000, and it's like, wait, that's more than the oil change I was going to get. So then you have a fallout rate, right? Where this is a true spread that over $5,000. You don't have to pay to the next month, like for the consumer. And then you can go up and downstream, like Sunbit, again, just like Care Credit. You got to have really high credit score, right? You got to have north of 700. You can't go down to subprime. So, we're trying to just give access to capital across the board. And again, I can just go into each different vertical and pinpoint and pick out how you sell and how you sell against the competitors there, because that's what we're trying to build, is that flexibility inside of it.
So, some of this it's kind of fascinating to think about. Like you mentioned things like retail, like just general retail. I mean, technically, the world of potential customers out there for this, right? Meaning the merchants that could put these programs in place, is pretty expansive if you think
Right.
about it, right? Not necessarily we want to test verticals to make sure that we're not getting into a space that's too dangerous, or that the companies that kind of, so like, I asked you about travel, and travel is sometimes a difficult thing because there's high chargebacks typically in travel, and sometimes we don't want to get into that kind of environment. But things like suit companies, like I get my suits professionally made because I just love a good suit, and being able to go in there, I'm spending $3,000 to $5,000. It would be nice to have an opportunity, if I don't have a room on my credit card or something, don't have the cash available, to be able to pick up something like this.
Yeah, and you think of like Klarna's and Affirms of the world, like most of them, they're going to be a true buy now, pay later. So their ability to loan and lend is going to be, smaller ticket items, right? It's going to be a couple $100, maybe a couple $1,000. I know in this approval amounts here, we're trying to stay consistent in like the buy now, pay later. Ours is up to like $7,500. But when you think of like the actual, like when we're working in the HVAC market, I mean, that can be up to $100,000 of loans. So, what we're trying to show in the depth and breadth here of this is, we have buy now, pay later option. We have a true lending option of, 30, 60, 120 months, right? So, that flexibility comes with it. And yeah, to your point, we're trying not to limit those customers, because the way we've set up what we call a special vehicle loan versus a true like lending arm that people have, which then puts you in a bunch of regulation. Like we're using multiple banks on the back end, and to pull into this SPV, we're using private money to pull into this SPV. So that allows us to use this capital to help the merchants and not be stuck to how the federal government, allows you to lend, right? So I think that's super important to focus on, because as you guys are talking to these customers, like I'd never imagined in a world to think that we would help a furniture store. And I've worked with the banks, and the way we've set it up, they're like, yeah, okay, if you're taking their merchant account, we'll take the financing on it too. And I was like, wait, really? And so, it goes back to that point that I was making early on, that, we've been able to show these banks and help them understand through the special vehicle loan that, the merchant services isn't much different than the risk that we're taking. And honestly, we probably do a better job of underwriting these merchants than they do, because we at least understand their product. We understand their business. We understand their vertical. We understand what they're doing. They're not just some LLC coming to our door saying, hey, I need $50,000, or I need to offer this program to my clients. It's like, no, we understand what they're doing. We know their product. We know what they're selling. We know how they're doing it. We understand their T's and C's. We have other channels across them. So, they're more open to do that. And then to your point that you're showing on this slide, this is kind of that consumer onboarding where, most banks will give you a piece of paper or tell you to email a bunch of documents, ask for your firstborn child, put you through a rigor and a test. This is super easy. You can embed it into your website. For the merchant, if they're using our TRX payment solutions, we've embedded it into our hosted payment pages. They can embed it into their scheduling. They can embed it into there's text links that can be sent out. They can embed it into their invoices. They can embed it in the back office, their customer portals, wherever you think, your patient portal, wherever they can embed this access to capital. And they fill out about 10 things, and then they select their payment plan, and then they're approved. Money's in the bank account next day for the merchant.
And so along those lines, you mentioned a lot of different protocols. This is all great, phenomenal technical stuff. The ease of this system is really what is moving the dial for a lot of the potential clients that we're bringing to the table. And that because the structure, as Jared is saying, is very it's daunting sometimes. It's to the point, like I had Wells Fargo. I have two new HVAC units on my house. And Wells Fargo put me through a 10-day period back and forth because, what's this? What's that? Where's the income statement here? What's this? And they're, testing every single measure and prodding me to the point of literally exhaustion just to get HVAC, into the fold. And I probably talked to the company and the financing team about 10 times, right? So for me, it was a huge loss of revenue and a waste of time. At the end of the day, I got the financing, I did what I needed to do, but to have something that's a little bit more streamlined was really impactful when I saw this and what I see what it's doing for some of our merchants to kind of change the dynamic. So that for me was a huge part of this in terms of what we're doing.
Yeah, and the control, right? You and I have been in the weeds on one of the HVAC customers that we're working through. Their process today is they get to the service advisor goes to the house. It's no different than actually pretty similar to your Wells Fargo experience. The customer says, "Oh, yep, you need to replace your HVAC unit." Well, they have to radio into an accounting person at the office. That accounting person has to take the consumer's information over the phone. They type it in. That accounting person on the other end selecting the loan options to give to them. They're like, "Oh, well, we're going to always default to an 18-month promo, 0% financing, 18-month over 120 months." And that might be best for the business because it's more costly, right? From their current provider. Like it's costing them a pretty penny to offer that. And then the customer gets the link. That service technicians, they're probably waiting there. They need to get to their next job. Like they don't have time to do this. Versus this experience can be, "Oh, perfect. You want to get access to capital? Yep. Okay. Click I just sent you a text message. Complete it. Done. Okay. You're approved. Off." It's so much faster. And then it also, not just is it fast, but you give the power back to the corporation who in the finance team who actually understands this to put the program into the hands that's going to be best for their business, but also best for their customers to try to balance that out versus, a sales rep, as you all know, well, these aren't sales reps, these are technicians in the field. They're going to select the easiest option to get that customer over the finish line when we all know that if they only offered that customer 6-month promotion APR, they probably still would have selected that. You didn't need to give up the 18-month promo that cost that business more. There's no control for the businesses to put the program in place that they want and to give it streamlined. It's, "Hey, this is my product. I'm Green Sky. Here you go." And Care Credit's the same exact way. Think about how embarrassing it is. Like for Care Credit, I got a buddy who owns about 15 dental practices here in North Carolina. When he was using Care Credit, for customers to come in to, get their Invisalign, his office manager or the person working behind the desk, client comes in to pay. They've already paid their copay. They're getting it done. They're like, "Okay, your bill is going to be $3,500. And the customer, and they go, "We can finance it for you." And they hand them a pamphlet promo. And then the customer goes, "Okay, I'll do it." And then they say, "Okay, well, I need your information." And literally the office manager at his practice is typing in this patient's information, their social security number, and they're reading it out loud to them, which they're obviously his practice was full of other patients. And then, the embarrassing factor is that it takes, time to fill that out and someone else is filling out their information and then they get declined. That's embarrassing. right? No one wants to do that. No one wants to experience that. Like, why not have it embedded up front when they go in, they fill out their forms and they're filling out their patient engagement and they're scheduling their appointment. Go ahead and get pre-approved, or have a QR code that's sitting right there at the desk. Scan it, fill it out, complete it. You're done. As the patient, you control that, like data privacy. I mean, it's a very bad experience when you start to get in these adjacent service industries, which is why we've tried to bring that Klarna Affirm experience into these markets, because they're pretty much just operating like banks, and that is not what people want. And as we've already alluded to as well over and over, is that it's expensive, takes forever, and then the practices have no control, and they don't get paid immediately, and it's a lot of back and forth, and it's not, and more importantly, back to tying it all into TRX, nothing's integrated, nothing works together. The people who service it, the people who support it, they don't know what's going on. Like, their payment processor is different from their financing person, it's different from their payables business, it's different from the commercial line of credit. So we're trying to bring that all in-house to give them the economies of scale and give them expertise and someone that can actually help them. Doctors aren't business people. They don't understand it. Like, you got to help them understand, and you can build the program for them that's going to optimize their revenue, optimize their cost, but give their patients a good experience.
The important point you made earlier about pre-approval and then being able to give them all the help that they need, you made it in relation to HVAC, but that also applies absolutely as much from a medical and dental standpoint. When they're doing case presentation, a lot of the times the doctors are doing it based on what they think the patient might be able to afford. And then, like you said, they're having them get care credit after the fact, which is a disservice for everyone, for the customer and for the doctor themselves. If they know up front what the person can do and can't afford and they're pre-approved, then they can do the best case presentation possible to give the person all the care that they actually need. So that's massive.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead, Jeremy. Sorry.
No, I'm okay. I'm just people are texting me as this is going because they're asking a lot of questions, and so this is good. So, I don't want to take up a lot of. We've gone here, almost half an hour, and I promise to kind of make this short. I know I really appreciate your time, Jared, and kind of showing this. What is it that what's the best way for us to make sure that our agents are bringing? Like, what are the top 5 questions that they really need to ask when on any potential merchant?
Top 5 questions to ask,
or 3. Just the most.
No, it's a tough one, because it's the back to the vertical point, right? And I think from a commercial perspective, I would like, when you're in the commercial perspective, what you're competing against in the market are what they call cash advance products, or banks. And the cash advance products, the reason why those aren't ideal, because number one, it's a cash advance is an advance on your merchant services. So what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, you're doing $30,000 a month processing. We're going to take $10,000 of that every month. We're going to front you basically $100,000. But they're going to take the cash out of their payment processing. Well, if you're a restaurant, if you're a retail business, you still need that cash flow. Like, you need that cash flow to pay your employees, to pay your payroll. Like, 1 month maybe 50 grand, 1 month maybe 30. Like, you still got to make ends meet, and you can't have that money just being held into a merchant account and siphoned off the top. That's why you want to get this working line of capital. Like, it's not just always a loan, it's a working line of credit. So, I think that allows them to use it for whatever they need in the business, whether it's, expanding their marketing, whether it's adding new employees, or they're doing events, or, catering ordering that I was working with someone else today on as well. But I think the top questions you want to ask from the commercial side of the aspect is, you want to understand the health of their business. So I start to focus in on, how much are you have in inventory? Are you optimizing that? Do you know what it's costing you? Are you just in time ordering? Like, so you want to figure out, where are they lacking in terms of their wherewithal, in terms of their cash flow, right? Are they trying to expand? Are they trying to grow? So you want to start with that. You want to start with understanding where are they trying to grow their business and where are they having problems or where they're struggling. And then from there, you want to start to then pick apart the questions around, have you looked at financing opportunities? Have you went to your bank? Like, how are they cross collateralizing all of that? And what are their rates? And what are they looking to get you into? And how much are they able to get you approved for? So you want to, that's where I would start asking those questions, is where I focus. On their retail consumer side, you want to focus in on, what's your average ticket, right? How much are your customers spending? Like, where are they spending it? How, what are ways that you can, are you selling your products and your goods? I start there. I start to ask those types of questions. And then from there, I start to look at, well, how are you getting these people? What's your, how are you growing? What's your ideas for growing kind of your average ticket orders? And then once you start to hone in on that, then, depending on the vertical, I go immediately and start to attack their experience. Like, I go right after their customer experience, attack that, ask them what that looks like, walk them through that, and then bring them the horse to water and let them see the bigger way. It's like, what if you just had access here? Like, click here. And then the last part, picking apart the competitors, is super easy. I mean, that part's the easiest part of asking them, hey, have you looked at any of these? And once it goes there, you're going to jump into the funding times were slow, approvals to their customers was terrible, the cost was super expensive. I mean, that part's the easiest part. But I think if you miss the first part of the swing and understanding their customer and how they're trying to grow their business, then it looks like you're just selling a menu like anybody else would, and picking apart their competitors. So you have to sell that front end part and ask those questions, in my opinion, Jeremy, because then you can demonstrate ways that they can use this that they weren't thinking about. Like, most of them just say, well, yeah, I have it because someone in my, the dental space said, well, you have to have care credit. It's like, well, yeah, you have to have care credit, but you have to also use it appropriately if you actually want it to not just be a cost center for you and actually drive revenue for your business. So sorry for the long-winded answer, because I don't really read questions. Great. It's just, perfect. Again, it's that vertical fluency.
And we have a couple of folks on. And Tom, do you have any questions as we're talking through this?
Not right now. I think I'm going to actually watch this video to run through it again. I might have questions after that.
Okay, great.
And Tom, what are most of your like verticals that you focus in?
I don't have any yet.
Anything in your background that you kind of gravitate towards, or customers you've worked with?
No, this is all new for me.
Okay.
Yeah, we sometimes we have folks coming on board who are, they haven't thought about where to go, but they ultimately hustle out, and next thing you know, they're bringing in customers that we didn't know about. I got three texts today earlier on just saying, and I sent one to Jared earlier. Hey, what about this vertical? So as we're talking, and folks have specific verticals that you're not sure about, right? You're just uncertain. Like today, I didn't know. I said, I have a gentleman who runs contract manufacturing for nutraceuticals, and I said, hey, Jared, what do you think about this? And we were able to get it pre-approved as something to take a look at for a very large contract manufacturer that we're going to do not only consumer financing, but also commercial financing as well. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say, Jeremy, because we not only and then you and I started spitballing. We're like, wait, okay, this is what he does. He does the supply chain stuff, and then we're like, well, how do his customers buy, and do they buy in bulk? And we're like, yeah, well, they do. Okay, well, why not? Are they businesses? Why not do a commercial line there? And then what are their customers? How are they buying those products from them? And then it's like, well, then append the retail financing on that. And then you go, well, how is he expanding his operations, for his distribution facilities? Does he need more distribution facilities? Does he need more marketing spend? Does he need more capital? Does he need more channels? Like, so you and I were able to take that one use case and actually start to apply this, kind of horizontally and vertically throughout that, specific customer's, ecosystem. Like, and that's the way you want to think about it, right? If you just stick to this is the vertical and not start to think about it's just money, getting money quickly in a streamlined way, and then just start to think about the intangible parts that touch that business and where they use money. I mean, if anybody's in the B2C market and has never ran a P&L and looked at how much Google and paid ads and stuff cost you, like, I mean, you can spend $250,000 a month like that. And those are places that businesses are like, I want to grow, but I can't grow because I got to spend all this money with Google, but I need to build out my production team and my operations. And they're like, so it's just, you gotta, if you understand that business and you understand that their niche, you can show them ways that they can just put capital to work to make their business more successful rather than just trying to bootstrap it and doing it at a favorable rate. Right. And I think that's really what we're focusing on.
Yeah. So
Jeremy, I think the other thing that might be good to cover for the sales teams is how simplified you made this process with the one unified application in the back office, which is all we need from the merchant. It's not like we need them to sign up for 10 different things for each of these products. We've also made it unified in the same way we have on the consumer side for the merchant.
Yeah. No, we tied all that together, and Wesley, I know when we get to start to talk about some of the other, I mean, look, we put that promo for you together pretty quickly, where you're able to take these product books into the practices, and they can just scan a QR code for the business to get set up for commercial lending, but then also at the same time get set up to offer a patient financing solution for their customers. I mean, and that's just, they got both. Like, you can't go to Care Credit and get that. Their Care Credit's like, hey, can you do a commercial loan to me? They're like, dude, call your bank. What are you talking to me about? I don't know.
Exactly. It's the one-stop shop aspect of all of this, where they have one trusted partner that's providing all of these services that's of unparalleled value.
Yeah, and they can be bundled. They can be unbundled. Like, we don't.
And like you said, we're willing to think with it.
Absolutely.
Bring us the problem, and we'll solution or something for them.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, we're pretty bullish on this, and it's growing. It's taken off relatively easily because it's just untapped territory. Like, there's no one trying to solve these problems. Most of the people that you're running into, they're just still slinging terminals and selling authorizations and approval codes. Like, honestly, I'd be shocked in, call it 2 years, if the revenue that we have at TRX isn't 4x on these other products, and I get to a point where I just look at them and say, oh, merchant services, it's free, just take it. I don't care, take it, it's free.
Right. Yeah. No, it's a true and actual need. We're not manufacturing something to sell to somebody. We're responding to what they're grasping for.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and most of the time they don't know they need it, but their customers want it, and if they had it, they would spend more money.
If they knew it existed. Yeah,
absolutely.
Like before the cell phone or the car.
Yeah.
Well, Netflix, now that I know this exists, I can't live without it.
Yeah, it's like Netflix to Blockbuster, right? You're like, wait, I don't have to put things in a DVD. I can just pull it up on my phone and watch movies anywhere, or I can just get money quickly and provide my services and move on. Yeah, okay, I'll take that.
Exactly.
Well, guys, thank you so much for all your time tonight. We're going to post this out and promote this as much as we can. We're going to do another program at some point on accounts payable again. And then, of course, merchant services will tie it all back in together. Jared, thank you so much for sharing your time with us tonight. We really appreciate everything that you do for us, and we will continue to keep growing.
Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Look forward to it. Always an open door. Jeremy, everybody. I work till whenever. So if you guys ever need me, just reach out. I'm here.
Well, you thank your wife for us, and tell her we won't try to hit you too many nights. So
nah, all good, man.
All right, buddy.
See you
thank
guys.
You.
Yeah, cheers.
Bye-bye.